I have the keys to a brand new 718 Cayman GT4 RS, and this is the final and ultimate version of the Cayman with an internal combustion engine. And I'm gonna take it for a drive and give you my impressions.
Be sure to log into your YouTube account, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video.
The Porsche 987 generation Cayman was born in 2005 for the 2006 model year, a year after the 987 generation Boxster was launched. It was an S model with 295 horsepower, courtesy of a 3.4-liter naturally aspirated flat six. Over the years, power increased gradually. Yet Porsche always held out on giving customers what they really wanted, the GT3's 500 horsepower, naturally aspirated flat six. In 2022, that finally changed when Porsche announced the 718 Cayman GT4 RS, which would be equipped with the same 4-liter engine as in the GT3. Why would Porsche finally allow the Cayman to catch up with the GT3? If Porsche is to be believed, the GT4 RS is the final iteration of the internal combustion engine Cayman. It's a final celebration of the platform before it goes all electric. If you visit Porsche.com and select 718 Cayman GT4 RS, you'll be presented with the base MSRP of $160,700. For most customers who can get their hands on one, either new or used, they should plan on paying much, much more. Dealer markups have approached $100,000, and flippers are also able to sell their lightly used examples for tens of thousands more than MSRP. We think it's a safe bet that the GT4 RS will never depreciate below $160,700. So, what does a GT4 RS buyer get for their money? The 4-liter flat six is the same one found in the GT3, yet it makes 493 horsepower instead of 500 due to the longer exhaust system needed for the mid-engined platform. The 7-speed PDK dual clutch automatic is the sole transmission Porsche offers. Fully adjustable coilover suspension rivals the GT3's, but the front and rear are still McPherson strut based, while the GT3 gets double wishbones up front and a multi-link setup at the rear. It isn't the engine that might hold the GT4 RS back, it's now the suspension system. The Weissach package, which this car is equipped with, brings a bare carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber engine air intake, carbon fiber rear wing, and the ability to opt for the 20-inch lightweight magnesium wheels.
All right, 718 Cayman GT4 RS. This is quite the treat. I'm gonna redo my mic onto the seat. And yeah, we are at Porsche Parade right now in Palm Springs, and we are off Highway 74. And we had a member who was so kind as to allow me to drive this car and film it for a 1-mile review. Now, we just had our autocross today, so I just got out of my 2007 base Cayman with a manual transmission, and so it'll be interesting to see how that compares to this car. Now, I drove this here to this photo location, so I have somewhat of an idea already of how it's going to feel driving, but I haven't really pushed it at all. I haven't gone more than maybe 2/10, just giving it a couple short pulls in a straight line, and it is impressive. But let's get this show on the road. So, like all Porsches, you stick the little key fob into the opening. So, first things first, there's a lot of Alcantara in here, and that's a GT car sort of signature, and the GT4 RS is no different. The engine we hear in the back is straight from a 911 GT3, has a slightly less horsepower because, as Porsche says, the exhaust routing is a little bit different, and it's a little bit longer than the 911 because this has a mid-engine rear-wheel drive chassis, whereas the 911 has the engine in the rear with rear-wheel drive and has a very short route to the exhaust mufflers. What Porsche did, just like in the GT3, is instead of the small, dinky little shift mechanism, shift selector, they've replaced it, the GT department has replaced it with what looks like a manual shifter, but this is in fact a 7-speed PDK. The wheel is unadorned, has shift paddles right here, but there's no mode dial. We have PDK Sport, which quickens up shifts. We have a shock button, which will put it into either Sport. Right now it's in normal. And then we have our exhaust button, which makes the exhaust louder. We'll turn that on in a little bit. We'll turn all the buttons on in a little bit, except we will be leaving the ESC off, ESC and TC traction control off. Those are buttons we're not going to touch here. This car is new to the member who's loaning it to us, and very near and dear to his heart. There's no way anything's going to happen on this drive. With that, here we go. We've selected a very twisty road, and we hope you enjoy it. What I can say is that PDK in this car does not act quite as closely to an automatic transmission, torque converter automatic, than some other PDKs I've tried in, let's say, the Panamera and less sporting cars that Porsche has made. Now here's a stop sign, and here we go. We got a car on the way. So right now all the settings are in normal. And wow, listen to that noise. This car has a very, when you're just cruising around in automatic, it's not that loud. But the moment you just step on the gas a little bit, you hear the induction noise, and with the windows open, you can hear it right behind your head. As long as you're not really touching that gas pedal, it's all good. Now, I'm gonna put it into manual mode because that's what this car is like, what it likes to be in. Oh, what a sweet engine. It sounds good. The chassis is really compliant, actually. We're in 3rd gear right now. Wow. PDK executes downshifts like almost no other transmission. That was full send in 2nd gear for a second, and look at that downshift in the middle of a turn, and it's all good. Man, this road is beautiful, nice and twisty. Put this down, sun's in my eyes. I get the feeling of supreme confidence in this car. The suspension is so compliant, yet you can tell it's pretty stiff. But let's say compared to my Olin's rodent track coilovers, these are a lot more compliant in its normal mode. Now let's put it in sport mode with the shocks. Oh man. What a car. So cool. The brakes are really nice. They're a little bit touchy at slow speeds, but when you're really getting on it like this, they seem to have the perfect weighting. Oh man, the chassis is so good. The endless turn, I love it. The way the chassis loads up, it's different from a 911. It doesn't have that rear end feeling as much. Now we're gonna put the PDK into PDK Sport and the exhaust on. Man, that thing rips. Oh, and there's that top of 2nd. What a great noise. Wow. Whew, oh boy. I'm almost glad we have this truck in front of us so I can take a second to just relax. But how can you relax when you have a transmission that shifts like that? I mean, it's almost just like a normal car, but wow, and you get off the throttle and it just tucks in the nose a little bit. on the binders. There we go. And you know, even on a road like this, which is pretty smooth compared to some northeastern roads that I know of, Sport Plus is okay. I don't know if I would have it in Sport Plus or normal most of the time, but either would do on a smooth road like this. So on the streets, Sport Plus works. Wow. Wow, what a car. So you can really have this feeling of lightness and nimbleness in this car. It has almost no rubber in the suspension. So it really reacts super sharply, and the way the chassis loads up just feels crisp, like other Porsches don't. It's just got that extra edge, that extra magic in the suspension that other Porsches just don't quite have. And of course, I'm talking about the chassis, but man, this engine revving to 9,000 RPMs, 4 liters. The torque number might not be gargantuan, but it's 4 liters, so you have the torque everywhere. We're at 4,000 RPM right when the car kind of picks up. Let's say 3,500, third gear. Yeah, we're already like up to speed pretty quickly there. That is pretty amazing. And we're pretty much at the turnaround point here. Now I'm looking behind me in the rearview mirror, and it's pretty funny how big that wing is. I had forgotten how GT cars, they don't really give you a lot of room in the rear window to see the cars in back of you. And in fact, my coworker and friend Bogdan, he was driving my Cayman behind us as we went to the filming location, and I've never really seen my car being driven on the street by somebody else, particularly when I'm also driving a car. So I was trying to look in the rearview mirror, and you just can't really see it. So yeah, quite an interesting sort of case of rearward visibility in a GT car, but that's par for the course. And you're not buying a car like this to look in your rearview mirror all that much. I'm also realizing that a car like this, I just want to have it in manual mode the whole time and have it in as high as of gear as possible, second or third for a road like this. Oh man. Wow. I'm just gonna shut up for a second. Carbon ceramic brakes are amazing. I already know these won't fade with the kind of driving that I'm doing here. Yeah, this car is loud, but you know, it doesn't bother me here on a road like this, but on our drive over to the filming location, it was definitely, there were some noises that I could see that would get annoying over a long distance. I'm almost wondering if a car like this is gonna be a slightly better daily driver than a road tripper, even though both scores are kind of gonna be down there. But yeah, there's just so many different noises, so many changes of character that this car has as you go through the rev range. You know, just almost, you know, put all these buttons off and leave it in automatic, and pretty soon it'll shift up to seventh gear and it'll be really quiet. So I think for the rest of this drive, I'm just gonna take it easy, let the car cool down, let the brakes cool down, and we will wrap up this review shortly. See, just cruising around, almost no sound at all. Just like any other normal Cayman. And because the suspension is so compliant, you know, it really does feel like a normal Cayman. It doesn't feel all that stiff from where I'm sitting. You know, and maybe that's because I'm used to driving around a stiffer car, I road tripped out to Parade, and, I've been in a very stiffer car for the past week or so, but I don't think so. This is, I think anyone gets in this car, and everybody except those who really can only buy maybe a Lexus or a Mercedes sedan with plush suspension, I think they would be perfectly happy with this car. And it really belies the fact in this setting, and with PDK and automatic mode, that we're just cruising around with no drama. The fact I get to drive this, I can't thank the member enough how much I appreciate this. What a car. What a car. And I can say, having driven this and the 992 GT3, I prefer this car. Somehow it feels more compliant than the GT3, less willing to tramline, although that might have had to do with the roads that we were driving. But just what a car. Whew, man. Wow, okay, I'm gonna turn this thing off. So my ratings. Car show. I'm gonna give this a 9.5. Maybe this would be a little higher, 9.75, if it was in a slightly louder color. But as it stands, 9.5 is what I think for this car. And it's just white with some carbon fiber accents. And man, it's got a big wing in the back. If you bring this to a car show, people are going to be swarming around it. Absolutely, people love this car. And yeah, this is a car show car. Not only is it great to drive, but you take this to a car show and people will adore you, they will appreciate it, and they will love seeing a piece of Porsche history. For daily driver, I'd been thinking about this actually on our way over from the hotel we're staying at to this film location. And basically, I'm gonna give this a 5.5 for daily driver. This is not a good daily driver. It's middle of the road because it has such nice suspension. It's compliant enough to be a daily driver, but then you also have to realize that it's got a big front splitter that sits low to the ground. It has that rear wing that blocks a large of the usable portion of your rear view. And yeah, it wouldn't be super easy. You might be comfortable, but parallel parking, going up and down driveways is not this car's forte. Now for road trip, this is gonna get a little bit less. Now it's funny because as I've discovered, a Cayman is a great road trip car in the sense that it has a lot of room for luggage, and this Cayman is no different. It has a frunk, it has a trunk. If you didn't mind scratching that beautiful carbon fiber intake manifold that goes through the rear windows into the cabin, yeah, you could put some stuff there as well, but really I've got a feeling most owners aren't going to want to do that. Also, this car makes a lot of different noises that just on the short drive over here on 50-mile-an-hour roads, got a little bit, had to ask myself, would I be okay with that after 3 hours or even 1 or 2? And I'm not so sure. They're great noises when you want them to be great noises, but yeah, on a road trip when you maybe just want to turn on a podcast or talk to your passenger if you have somebody else on the road trip, not good. So I'm going to give this a 5 for road trip, purely because it has really nice, it's comfortable to sit in, and it has nice storage. It's loud. Fun factor, yeah, that's easy. This is a 10. This is one of my favorite cars that I've driven in a long time, including the 992 GT3 I drove not too long. Well, I guess it was about a year ago now. Both the touring and the regular winged version. This is a really fun car. I like how it responds to inputs through the steering. The throttle is so sharp. It's not just, naturally aspirated, Cayman GTS 4.0 sharp. It is just, it's right now sort of throttle. And when you get past 8,000 RPM and it just zings, this engine, it just buzzes with an intensity that I don't know if I've ever heard before. And this is going to sound like a really random comparison, but it reminds me of the last 200 or 300 RPM in a first generation Toyota MR2. This sounds way better, but man, that the last bit of the rev range just stands the hairs on your neck up, you know, just straight up, and gives you goosebumps. So 10 for fun factor. Once again, would like to thank this member for letting us drive this car, letting me drive this car. And if you like content like this, please subscribe to our channel. It helps our channel, helps us make content like this. And like this video if you like this video. Hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. Would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions. Maybe I got something wrong in this review. Let me know. Until next time.